Now let's go back to the beginning before all of this and talk to me about, him as a player and what you were looking to improve on.
Well, he was doing really good. He would hit the ball. He was making really good contact, and he would hit a lot to the ground, but he'd hit them hard. And when he did hit them up in the air, he'd hit good doubles. But I knew that there was more in there, and I wanted him to be able to make better contact on the ball and be able to get the ball and drive it out. And the ground balls were frustrating him. He knew that if he were able to hit the ball solid, that those base hits that he was getting would be doubles, and that he had a lot more in him. And um, other than that, like he would hit the ball really good, and we knew that he had a lot of power. It was just the fact that I knew that he had more, and I didn't know how to get it out of him. And watching him getting kind of frustrated with the ground balls, and he hit it hard, so a lot of them would get through at his age, but he knew that that was only a matter of time before that was going to end, and those ground balls were going to become outs.
That makes perfect sense. And I agree with you. Now, tell me, what did you try to fix this issue?
We just spent a lot of time at home hitting off the tee. He would listen to his coaches, and they would work on him with stuff, and he would keep working and working. He would sit out here and play baseball with his older brother and work off of the tee. They would play wiffle ball together. He was constantly hitting and hitting and hitting, but we didn't really know how to fix what he was doing. He just kept hitting, and we, yeah, we didn't really know what else to do. And every place I looked around here, it was $100 or more for an hour lesson. And the people that I seen go to those, I didn't really see any improvement. My older son played, watching kids go and spend their parents spend literally thousands of dollars on different kind of programs, private lessons, individual clinics, and stuff like that. And they get all done, and the kid comes back the next year, and there's really no difference in his hitting. And if there is, he would hit a little bit better for maybe a day or two or for a couple weeks, and then it would go right back to the same old thing. There was no real consistency in anything. And every time they would go from one person to the next to try to improve and get better, they were trying to change everything that the kid was doing. And I've seen a lot of confused kids. I've seen a lot of frustrated kids. I've seen a lot of really frustrated parents. And it kind of turned me off of a lot of the hitting programs around my area.
That makes perfect sense. So then you found me. Can you tell me how'd you find me and what made you want to join the program?
Well, I was always looking for different ways to help him improve. Like I said, I didn't know really what he was doing wrong. I just knew that there was something missing. So I was constantly going on YouTube and looking up different videos, and I would see all these different things. And then I came across your videos, and I subscribed to your video list, and seen that everything was very consistent. Everything was very organized, well explained. You always had somebody there to showing exactly how to do the drills, what they're doing wrong. And then when I seen where you had the video analysis to send in a video of him hitting, and then when I sent that to you and you got right back to us and actually watched him hit off of the tee in my yard and was giving him little pointers, and the difference that you made in 15 20 minutes with the two or three things that you adjusted in my front yard was amazing and made a huge difference.
And what difference did you see?
Well, the first thing was rolling the hands over and him hitting the ball more square. The bat speed, the way he was stepping into the ball and not lunging forward. Those right there in the beginning were probably the biggest things that I noticed just in that little time that you spent with him in my yard.
And then what was the result in game or in practice when you implemented that?
What do you think, Jason? I mean, you definitely were hitting the ball a lot harder. He started.
There's more elevation to the ball, and you can definitely tell there's more power. So it went farther.
Did you feel more confident?
Yeah,
Nice. And what about you? Did you agree he was hitting it more in the air and and hitting
He
it
was
hard.
definitely hitting it more consistent. And even if he wasn't like really driving it out at that point, he was normally at least getting the ball out over the infield. You know, out of 10 at bats, he was putting it out over there at least six, seven times. And just by doing that, and that made a huge difference because he doesn't have a ton of speed. A lot of the kids would have had a lot of triples and stuff like that, but he's got that power and he can drive the ball.
And then, so that was the first time we met, and I gave you those few pointers, and then um, basically you and I connected again because of the Power Lab. So can you talk about how that happened?
Well, you mentioned that you were going to do that, and as soon as you said it, I talked to him about it and told him that it was going to be a dedication and that it was every day, and he was going to have to put in the time. He said he was willing to do it, and we couldn't wait for it to start.
And then you start the program. You had another play in there by Dodge, and his dad commented. And if you guys want to see that, you guys can see it below. But he went through it as well. And you two, man, I love seeing both of you guys work, man. You, Jason Dodge, I mean, it was like a good competition between you two. He would make a video, then you would make a video, and then he would go up 1 miles per hour, or and then you would go up 1 miles per hour, and it just kept going back and forth. So tell me about that whole thing. And the first week, we were just talking about bat speed, and we were increasing that. So talk about that.
Well, the one thing was when in the beginning when you first said that the goal was to increase 10 miles an hour in 10 weeks. And I didn't really think that was going to happen. I figured that if he even increased 5 or 6 miles an hour, it would be a ton of improvement to what he already was bringing to the table. Um, so when he got on there and I started seeing Dodge hitting the ball and the way that kid was working, it definitely gave him a little bit of motivation that like this is how you got to get after it because that young man knows how to that young man's got a lot of fire in him. He knows how to go. And it was really impressive watching him as well. And it was nice being able to watch the two boys go through it together. And you can see when you put the time in and you put the dedication in to how much improvement you can really get in a very short time.
Yes, yes. So, for you guys don't know, the 10 miles per hour is 70 feet of distance. So the goal was, can we get them 70 feet of distance by 10 weeks? And I'm gonna let him respond and tell you about it at the end. But after the first week, you guys jumped on this. And Jace, how was that week? Were you a little bit tired? Did it push you a little bit, or was it pretty easy?
It was very tiring, but I could definitely tell how it was helping me, so it was also like pushing to keep on going.
Yeah, what do you think, Ed?
He was the first week he was definitely tired. Um, I
Yeah.
think by day three, day four,
You
he
told
got
me,
out of bed and said,
yeah.
I'm a little sore.
Yeah, you told me that he was struggling on the Russian twist. Um,
Yeah, the first time he did the Russian twist, that was pretty rough, huh?
but that's a good rough. That's one of those things where you do and you're like, oh man, but then you see the payoff and then you're like, okay, okay, I see what I'm doing here. So the second week we started to talk about the swing and we were breaking that down. Talk to me about that because we were talking about also the angle in which you hit the baseball. So talk about that. And you could jump into Jace. You started to shake your head like, yeah, I wanted to say something about that. So go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I don't know.
When he started,
I said,
once he started hitting the ball and thinking about an actual launch angle, before he was just so concerned about hitting the ball. Don't strike out, make contact, and hope for the best, no matter what. Just don't strike out. I think last year, I don't think he struck out more than maybe 5 times total throughout his entire season. He was really good at making contact, and excuse me, he but I'm sorry, I forgot what we were just talking about. I got
He was
sidetracked.
good at making contact.
Yeah, he was really good at making the contact. And once we started talking about the launch angle and he started thinking about where he should strike the ball with the bat and paying attention and focusing on connecting with the proper hand to the bat or to the ball, then he started actually making good. He started driving the ball and getting it up in the air a lot more, which was a good thing off of the tee. But with us living in New York, I had the net set up in my house. So my walls and ceilings didn't really appreciate it much sometimes, but it worked for him.
Nice. Nice. And then
One or two holes later, but
I think after that, I think that week he gained, no, that week, the first week he gained 1 miles per hour, or he earned 7 feet of distance. The second week he didn't at all. And then the next week, when we started talking about the lower half and getting him involved, getting that lower half working, being like the engine in his swing, he jumped up. I think he went about 21 feet of distance, or 3 miles per hour that day. So, can you talk about that week?
that week for him, once he added the legs and figured out how to get the lower half into his swing, it was amazing. Like as he was working on the tee throughout the week, I was noticing it just in the first by the end of the first day when he was working on the tee drills, he was hitting the ball, and I knew. I told him then. I said, I can tell that you've increased a lot already just by doing what you've done in one day off of this. And I think that was a big part of what he was missing. Is before he would hit the ball really hard, but it was all upper body. He didn't understand how to generate power with his and get the power to transfer from the lower to the upper.
Yeah, I noticed that too because that was a big jump. Going back to Dodge, Dodge gained 7 feet of distance for that week, and you guys jumped like 21 feet. And I thought that was incredible. I was pretty pumped. And you know me, I had the scorecard up for both of you guys. And, competition is good. Get someone on your level and compete and just get better. So it was good. Now, after that week, we went into the fourth week, which we were talking about separation. And we kind of still talked about the lower half, but we talked about separation. And then the following weeks, you guys kept going at it. And tell me those after the 4 weeks, when we kind of ended. Tell me, where did he end up overall?
At the end of the 4 weeks,
At the end of, let's say, because 4 weeks later he was up about 28 feet of distance, or 4 or 5 miles per hour, 28 to 35 feet of distance, 5 miles per hour. So can you go to about, I would say, the end of the program? Even that last video that you sent me where he was hitting at 67, that I've like shared everywhere. So just talk about that.
that once he got that hip shoulder separation going, that made a huge difference in his swing. And by that point, he was doing so much with the medicine balls and the fitness aspect of it. Not only was he like you could actually see it in him. His chest was different. He was losing weight in his belly. He was moving a lot faster. He wasn't having any more problems with Russian twist. By the end of it, they weren't hard at all, were they? No, he was doing them with a drop three BB core bat with a 15-ounce weight on it.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
I mean, he was doing it, um, and he wasn't having a problem with it. So by the time he got to the end of it, and he started putting everything together, once he puts it all together, the snap and the drive on the and the speed of the bat is just it's insane.
Yeah. Talk about that. So that I want to talk about that video you sent me where he's hitting it at 67 miles per hour off the tee. By the way, that is as good as like 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. So you hitting it that hard is like really impressive. So talk about that. Because you went like this in there. You were like pumped up when he hit that ball. And I show that video and I always slow-mo your reaction going like this.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting day for me. At that point, I think his highest one was it 64?
63 or
63 or
64.
64, something like that was his highest one. And we always, because we can't get outside and try to hit a ball over a fence, so we were always hitting for a personal record, trying to
Mm.
get him to hit the ball as hard as he possibly could on every single swing. So he was at that 63, 64, and no matter, he just couldn't break it, couldn't break it, couldn't break it. And that one day he was trying really, really hard to hit that 10 mile an hour or that 10 mile an hour mark, that he just sat back on it and just drove everything that he had. And just, I was so proud of him when I seen that 67 come up, because I know that's not something that a normal 10-year-old is going to do. I,
No.
and for a dad to see his kid do something it's not normal.
I agree. I agree. I mean, he's hitting the ball super hard. You're going to continue? You're going to say something else?
No, I was just gonna say it's personal, I mean, it's my son, and doing something like that, that's a great feeling. You can't explain that.
So he ended the program. And can you tell me how much did he gain over that time?
He gained a lot, and not only did he gain it with hitting, but his throwing too. He also pitches, and his arm, I don't really get a chance to see him too much when it comes to the throwing, because I can't throw with him in here. But all of his coaches, he's been working with a lot of the varsity kids and JV kids, because his brother's on the team. So he takes him to practices with him, and basically shows his little brother off to his friends. And he goes in the batting cages and hits with them all. And he warms up and throws with all of those kids. And everybody I've talked to on the team, coaches, they all tell me that it's crazy how hard he's throwing. His coaches on his 10U team, I've gotten text messages that just, what are you giving him? What are you feeding this kid? What'd you do to him? He hurt my son's hand.
And what
He
about
was telling me the other day that the one kid that catches for him told him, he's like, man, it hurts to catch for you. Like, my hand hurts.
now what about the hitting side? What has
And
the varsity kids have said about that, and the parents, and can you talk about that?
the varsity kids and the coach and the older kids, they all tell him that he's going D1, he's the GOAT. They talk him up so much, and he doesn't know how to accept it. He just sits there. My older son says he doesn't talk to anybody. He just goes in there and just does what he's supposed to do, and that's it. But they all love him. Everybody in there talks about, and then they mess with each other, because they're like, look at the 10-year-old just out hit you. I took him to the batting cages, and he was hitting 60 miles an hour off of 45 feet away, pitching machines. And he was hitting in there with college kids and high school kids, and they couldn't believe that he was 10 years old. And not only was he making contact at 60 miles an hour, but he was driving the ball at 60 miles an hour. He had a couple of them left. Yeah, there was a couple of 14, 15-year-old kids that went there. They were in the cage when we got there. He came in, went in after them. They watched him hit, went in again after him, and then they packed up their stuff and left when he was in there again. By his second time through, they just packed up their stuff and left.
They're like, I can't deal with this. I'm embarrassed. I need to leave.
Yeah, the one kid actually kind of got into an argument with his dad about it, because
Really?
his dad was trying to talk him into staying there and just keep hitting and just keep working on it. And the kid was throwing his hands around, pointing at Jace, like, I'm not doing this. I'm not, no.
Wow,
And
that's
I felt bad for the kid, because it's like, I don't want to see a kid get discouraged like that. But, it's not his fault that he put the work in that he did and the effort that he put into it.
yeah. And do you think that since he went through the program, that was what's helping him hit, and hit the ball harder and drive the baseball?
Oh yeah, before he tried hitting 60 miles an hour before the program. And I think he fouled one or two off, but he couldn't get the bat. No, there was nowhere near. He couldn't get it around fast enough to get to it. And if he did, he had no power and nothing to. The ball would pretty much just push the bat backwards. He didn't
Yeah.
have enough drive on it to really get the ball to go anywhere. That's why they would follow off if he even did make contact. He was swinging the bat before the ball was coming out of the shoe and
Yeah.
following him off.
He was cheating to the ball. And now
Yeah,
and now he can just react and get there, you know.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
He has a harder time now with like the off speed pitches and like the 40, 45 mile an hour pitches, and because to him it's fun to hit 60, 55, 60 mile an hour. So when he's hitting 40, 45, his timing's off and he's behind on it. And so the last couple of times we go there, I have him going in and going back and forth from one to the other and have him working on the alternating speed.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So what else has been what other things have you seen that has been the change that you've seen in him since he's gone through the program?
His confidence. He knows that he's going to do damage this year. He doesn't think he's going to do damage. He knows he's going to do damage. He knows he can put the ball over the fence this year.
Yes. Yes. And why is that? Because how many miles per hour did he gain over the time we were working together, the program,
He gained at 10 miles an hour.
which is 70 feet a distance, which I mean the math is math. It doesn't lie. So
Yeah.
as
And
long
he was
as
one hop in the fence before.
it's gonna happen. His miss hits will still go over the fence, if he could get in the air.
At 67 miles an hour, they should go over.
Yeah, at 67 miles per hour, the math is the math. It's all science. So that's amazing. How you feel, Jace?
I don't really know.
Excited.
Yeah.
Just quiet. Just
He was telling me the other day that he's really excited for the season to start.
That's awesome. Have you noticed how people react to you now? Are they just around? They react different to you?
Um, a little.
Yeah,
But the older kids,
Well,
the varsity kids,
they, I never really think
talk to him.
went with them before, so I don't know the before or after.
that's true.
Yeah, but he hears them talking about him now, and he wasn't going to those practices before. And that's another big thing about it too. His brother has seen how much work he put into it, and that's why he wanted him to go to those practices. His older brother, like I said, he brings him in there and shows him off to his friends. Like, look how good my little brother is.
Yeah, your older brother's proud of you, man. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's very proud of him.
yeah, he's showing you off. Like, if you weren't improving and you didn't have like a good transformation, he wouldn't be saying, "Hey, come in, be around me." He'd be like, "Hey, just stay at home." But now he's
Right.
proud of you and he wants you to be around.
Come show these kids what you can do.
Yep, yep, that's amazing. I'll be bringing you around too. I want you to hit some bombs around me. But
Well,
yeah,
and he also put a good spark in the rest of his team too, because they all want to try to hit. They all want to hit the ball like Jace does. They see the recognition that he's getting from his coaches. He gets pushed harder than any other kid on his team too, because the coaches that he has, they're really good coaches, and they see where he's at and they're like, okay, you need to go to this next level now. You need to keep going. You need to keep pushing yourself. They don't just sit back and say, okay, you know how to play. We're just going to sit back and let you do your thing. They keep going on him. So he doesn't get any breaks with them, but the other kids see that he's got something and they want it. They want it too.
I can get a break on Coach Shane. I can get a break on Coach Mike.
what did he say? I can hear.
He said he can get a coach or he can get a break on Coach Dan, but not on Coach Mike.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, for sure. Never be content. Always work harder. There's someone right now in Japan, Dominican Republic, there's someone all over the country that's working. So you always got to keep working, you know. But I want to ask you, as the dad, talk about him hitting around the other parents. Do they say something to you? Do they speak out loud? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the coaches have all texted me and responded to me and asked me what he was doing, and he commented on how he was hitting. But I hear it a lot when we go to the batting cages. The people that come up to me when he's hitting, the first thing they ask me is how old he is. And when I tell them he's 10, they're just like, there's no way. That's unbelievable. Um, and the response that I get from them is it's awesome. And they keep telling their kids, watch what he's doing, watch what he's doing, watch him. He can hit, he can hit. And it's it's great listening to them talk about him
Yeah, that
because
gives you a lot of pride, right?
it does. Yeah. I mean, it gives me a lot of pride, and it also makes me happy to know that he's got the determination and dedication, because he put the time in every single day, even times when he really wasn't feeling too good. There was times where he stayed home from school, but he still worked on baseball.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. So he was a little sick. I think it was like week two, actually. I think it was week two. He was sick, and you told me he told you he's still going to get his work in, even though he didn't even go to school. Like that tells you a lot about him, and what he wanted to do and how he wanted to improve.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And it paid off for him too,
Oh
because
yeah.
he loves it. He goes to those cages and he hears the kids talking to him, and they start asking him questions and stuff and talking about him, and he hears them in the background, and he loves it.
Yeah. I love it too.
Feels good,
Love
huh?
I love getting the messages from you, because I always share it in my newsletters. I'm about to make more content about him. I'm about to be sharing him. I always like to brag. I'm like, I'm coaching a 10-year-old that's hitting as hard as the 12 and 13-year-olds. So it's good to see him transform. So I love all that. Let me ask you this. So as a parent, would you um, let's say a parent right now is on the edge of joining my program. Would you recommend my program?
Absolutely.
And what would you tell them?
I would tell them, as long as your kid's willing to put the effort in, he's going to get the payout. It's going to work. Jace is proof of that. He put the work in and he got a ton of results. It works, and it's not that hard. It doesn't take a whole lot. You just got to put an hour a day in, and you're good.
I love that. And Jace, what about you? If there's a kid watching right now, would you say something? Let's say a kid that's 10 years old like you, what would you tell them?
Um,
Would
um,
you tell them that the program is good?
yeah. Um, it's a good program. You'll definitely learn to hit the ball harder and farther, and yeah.
That's all I need. That's all it works. So I appreciate you. Is there anything else you want to say to the people out there to give them, more information about you guys? And, is there anything more you want to say?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.